Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named AvertedVision titled Weight of the World. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen on YouTube. Now, this is not the first song that we've heard from AvertedVision. They've also previously checked out their track Peace Machine, so it'll be good to hear more, but we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. There's also going to be an overall sort of song ranking provided at the end based on different musical criteria, but for now, let's go, let's do it.
Steel heart cracking in the silence, blood on my hands you'll never see. Every step, another broken promise, carved into the core of me. I bear it all.
I mean, it's kind of solemn, isn't it?
The graveyard built from sacrifice. Say you see it, say you know the wars I fight to make you whole. Say you feel it, say you care. I bleed for you, I breathe despair. The weight of the world on a threadbare soul. All I need is for you to know.
Really interesting vocal fry in that chorus section as well. Just a great transition from the cleans earlier on in the verse.
No banners raised, no glory marches, just quiet scars beneath my skin. I carry ghosts in empty pockets, praying for a reckoning. I bear it all behind these eyes. Built from sacrifice. Say you see it, say you know the wars I fight to make you whole. Say you feel it, say you care. I bleed for you, I breathe despair. The weight of the world on a threadbare soul. All I need.
I'm not really sure about the mixing of it. It sounds a little bit odd. You can tell they're trying to add a little bit more intensity there, but there's not a lot of definition to what's going on the sides.
It's for you to know.
I mean, the piano is carried easily enough.
Gratitude's a ghost that never calls. Respect is the crown that never falls. But still I kneel, still I break, still I burn for your sake. I'm not made of stone. I'm not made of stone. Say you see me.
And the arpeggios from the piano are impactful on the right.
Say you see it, say you know the wars I fight to make you whole. Say you feel it, say you care. I bleed for you, I breathe despair. The weight of the world on a threadbare soul. All I need is for you to know.
And a seamless transition into this, I presume, outro.
Is for you to know.
And we'll go the fade on the outro. I think I know what this track is about, but we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named AvertedVision titled Weight of the World. Now, just before we go any further, I gave this song an overall score of 6.8 out of 10. Now, we're going to go through why I gave it that score, I need to preface by saying that that's not a bad score. That's a good score. It means that a lot of the fundamentals were adhered to, and it's just that I can hear things that potentially could have been done differently in order to improve it. I'm going to talk about a few of those points of feedback or constructive critique, as well as the positives within this section. But I think this track is about someone who is basically discussing how someone has the weight of the world on their shoulders. They just don't feel, or they wonder if you don't understand how they carry that weight for you or for whoever else. It's about the concept of just needing to kind of get through the day or the week or the year. You know, there's lyrics like, I bleed for you, I breathe despair, the weight of the world is on a threadbare stole, all I need is for you to know. And it's basically saying, hey, I'm getting by on fumes and you need to understand this. I bear it all from behind these eyes, a graveyard built from sacrifice. I really dig the lyrics. I think that the way things are described here is really good. And when they say, you know, I'm not made of stone, I'm not made of stone, say you see me, say you know, I think that the way that's communicated is positive. You know, it's good. So I think that honestly, the vocals are probably the highlight for me in this piece. I appreciate a lot of the other stuff, but personally, I think the actual vocal quality there, we have the fry, and then we have these cleaner parts there and some really compelling melodies that are sung, and I think that the fry articulates a further intensity to the piece that I feel is needed in order to be able to split it up. The track is fairly reliant on the several sections it encompasses and rotates around, and I think that you need a little bit of variety in parts like the vocals in order to continue to keep the track interesting, while there are adjustments to again some of the piano and some of the guitar parts, etc. I do feel that the vocals had enough changing texturally in regards to the again expressive emotion of it. Just the way we sing is good. I'm not sure if there's harmonies within it. There are definitely like parts where like another takes over the old one, but I think that ultimately it's a solid solo effort within this. The track is 3 minutes 48, and you have various verse and chorus and pre-choruses and a breakdown in the bridge and other parts as per both my assessment of it as well as the lyric page and the lyric video. Shout out again to having the lyrics on the screen, by the way. I think it's really cool to be able to sort of read along to those and kind of connect to those as you pass through. There's a similar kind of minor feel sort of key-wise to it, with a similar piano tone that accompanies you throughout the piece there, with arpeggios on the right-hand bass reinforcement on the left. Nothing too heavy, but ultimately very palatable in the mid to high ranges, whichever octave we're in. And I think that it's accessible enough that you can kind of sit along, kind of vibe to it. It might have been good to have kind of had a bit more articulation of a key melody on top there to kind of go away from those arpeggios a little bit, but I still feel like they're supportive enough in order to keep things. There's an interesting delay and kind of feedback on the tone there, which kind of carries itself and makes it a bit more kind of misty and atmospheric, like you can kind of imagine the person beaten down in the room working through this stuff. There is a really elegant bass response that comes in about like 30 or 40 seconds in there, and it kind of makes it a bit more sort of cinematic and adds an interesting kind of full ambience to it. Having the lower range filled in is just a clever, like sensible as well decision in terms of the actual niching of the frequency spectrum within this. It was a natural choice after the piano covered the mid-range. And there's like some subtle kind of percussive hits there that reinforce the start of each bar at that point, which is also good. To have some picked kind of guitar parts a bit later in around the minute mark to further develop the piece is really good. And we don't just have the same layering per sections, we add more as we go through, which I think is positive. I feel like, again, the picked guitar parts, the palm muted parts, they add a nice sense of rhythmic coherence to it that works well alongside the hi-hat, snare, and kick patterns that come in that midsection as well on the second time through the verse. And it's just the song feels full at that point. You do have, I think, further kind of like power chords and stuff going on within that later chorus, which I think is cool as well. They have a bit of a heavier kind of tone to it. And we do at that point kind of play around with the piece and sort of bring them in and take them away and kind of mess with expectations a little bit, leaving you in a position where you've kind of got everything you need to at the midpoint and you're kind of like rolling with it until the end. I think that there's more. You could have potentially have also done a guitar solo or some sort of guitar melody on top of that as well, if there isn't one that I've missed. Actually, and to be fair, around the 2-minute 30 mark, there is a further kind of development of the right hand, I suppose, on the keys there, kind of twinkling in the bridge section, which I appreciate. There is some adjustment there. But yeah, I feel like we could have done more sort of like lead stuff with the guitar to further develop the piece, especially once we got to the point in that sort of second chorus where we're adding those power chords in, just to kind of, I suppose, make more of the real estate of that 3 minutes 48. It's not that I thought we were lacking in the context from the lyrics is important. It's just having more because I'm greedy. But I feel like the drums are supportive enough to carry us throughout there. Again, it's a track where I feel like you had space to do more with a lot of these different instruments, but in terms of building a coherent theme and kind of sort of like environment within the track, I feel like we accomplished that. It's a song where we had a very clear understanding of what we wanted to work towards, and I think we did that, and I feel like every step forward is a learning curve. I think for future tracks, the idea is now to see how much more we can decorate it and how much more interesting variety we can add to it just to continue to build it more and more. Thematically, minor key, working with major and minor triads there diatonically, makes a lot of sense. There's a bit of tension occasionally, some interesting crescendos and sort of like messing with the dynamic range, but nothing too kind of raunchy or subversive. I think that it suits the more kind of poppy, kind of like hard rock metal ambience combination we're trying to go for with this. It's a difficult tightrope to balance and walk across, but I feel like we accomplished it for the most part. And I think that the vocal melodies being the distinct lead in here makes sense, especially if you want them to focus on the story. Studio production wise, for me, there was some interesting tones and textures that I couldn't really connect to my usual kind of experiences within the genre. There was an interesting tone to the guitars. I feel like it's just really important with guitar especially to make sure you get them recorded. There is a lot that you can do nowadays to be able to get them to sound really good, even if they're not necessarily like recorded, even like MIDI instruments or something like that. But there was just a lack of texture or a kind of cut to those guitar parts within the choruses, which kind of made it seem a bit kind of too fuzzy for my tastes. I think that a lot of what we were doing with like the bass and the keys and the drums was pretty good there. I feel like we could have potentially had more distinction to some of those like key parts in the upper register and like the bridge and stuff as well. But it's, it's okay. It's what it is. Ultimately, I think that in terms of leveling, it was solid. There was dynamic range to it. I think that the 3 minutes 48 again was reasonably well spent. And I walk away from this feeling like I have learned more, and I did enjoy. I just want to sort of like mention that I do like this track. I think there's a lot of merit to it. It's just more where like as a musician I can hear what we can do additional to this. But I stand relatively firm with the recording the electric guitars, even if it's just the chorus parts, having like double tracking on the sides for that, just for a fullness of tone, and a bit more kind of grit to it. But ultimately, I think it was nice and loud without pumping, and it was a good effort. So ultimately, again, I think this is a good track, and I wish AvertedVision all the best of luck in the future, because thank you for watching my review of this track from AvertedVision, titled Weight of the World, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as it neither help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.